Mute button?
Yeah, on the top of the screen where there's a little microphone, you can.
Oh, look
You
at
know
that.
this.
And there you go.
You
Look
muted
at
yourself
that.
before.
So next time I know I'm going to say the word.
Yes. Hello, kids. How are
I'll
you
hit
doing? We are on.
it. Yeah.
Goodness.
Oh, I'm sweating buckets.
It is. Every show starts with the "How much is Josh sweating?" hour, which is for those of you who
This is
watch
shirt
the
number. This is shirt number 2. I already had to change the first one.
sweated
For
through the
those
first.
of you, for those of you in the Buffalo area, during the Sabres broadcasts years ago, then defenseman Brian Campbell used to do a commercial for some doctor's office that was to cure excessive sweating.
Yeah, really?
Oop, hold on.
For a second there.
I was hearing my voice.
You got that.
Do I really sound like that?
What's that?
Do I really sound like that?
Yeah.
No, that was me.
No, you sound way worse than that. You definitely sound. You don't sound anything like that. That's not even close.
Oof.
That's what my mom used to say when I would say that as a kid. Do I really sound like that? She would always say, "No, you sound way worse than that. You're It's not even close." I know. It was the witches. You know, witches in those recording machines. They used to. Oh boy. Pre-show sound effects.
Yes.
Always a hit. Kind of. All right. Let me get my thing.
Kind of, sort of.
Yes. Almost ready. Sorry.
It's okay.
Yeah, so if you're joining us, this is the pre-show. Tonight, we're going to do something really cool. I'm going to practice with you guys after this because I'm going to do a little quick Google Hangout from my Google Glasses. Because should the cup be won tonight,
okay.
I want to do a Google Hangout from the ice as I walk around. And I want you guys to see. You guys are in there too. You can go. You guys can have me. You can ask me questions to go up to people, find people, and ask them questions and stuff like that. I think that would be fun.
Yeah.
I don't think a Google Hangout's ever been done from the ice before.
You're gonna go on the ice?
Yeah, I'm always on the ice after the Cup's won. So.
Really?
Oh yeah, I've been on. This is my now will be a 9th year. So.
I was on the ice. I was on the ice for the. I mean, it's not the Stanley Cup. It's the Calder Cup. But I was on the ice for the Calder Cup final when they swept the Marlies 2 years ago.
There you go. So that's the same kind of thing, you know, and it's fun. So I want to do that, but I don't think it's ever been done before. That anyone has used Google Glass on a Stanley Cup celebration and actually done a Google Hangout while it's happening. So that should be a lot of fun because I'll be able to talk to you. So after this podcast, I'm going to have you guys stay with me for a second. I'm going to do a quick trial.
Okay. PK Subban did a funny video after they won the gold medal from the ice, but that was posted on Instagram. Don't know why that was funny, but have you guys seen that?
No, I haven't seen that.
Oh my God, it is the funniest video ever. I wonder if I can find it.
Well, that's why I put the laugh on there. There you go.
It's Instagram?
Did you see it, Mike?
I did not.
No. Okay.
I don't follow Montreal Canadiens on Instagram.
Subban. Let me see. Subban. No.
All right, let me
I'm assuming we're going to talk mostly rumors today, Ak, because they're starting to really pick up. And
yeah, they're going to pick up for sure. We definitely will pick up rumors.
There's not a lot to talk about other than the fact, are the Rangers going to get swept?
Yeah, we're going to talk about that too. We'll talk about rumors for sure. But there's definitely both.
Okay, before we start this, since I have brought it up, I'm sending it to you. In the chat window, you guys got to take a look at this. Ak, if you're going to do what you're doing tonight, you got to watch this. It's pretty quick. But it's the funniest video ever. I put it in your chat.
Okay. I'll watch it after because the volume will carry.
Sorry. Okay, one thing.
You're not going to watch it now?
I just have to send it out. 1 second. I have two kinds of contact lenses, and I have contact lenses that I can see far away with and ones I can see close with. And today I have the ones for far away because tonight I'm going to obviously be at the game. So I can't see anything in front of me at all. Like I have to be like.
Do you have an astigmatism or?
Yeah, I just can't. I'm just farsighted or whatever it is. So.
Yeah, my problem is I have one eye that's really bad and one eye that's okay or close to okay. So if I'm not wearing these, I'm blind as a bat.
Yeah.
Did you watch that, Eck?
No, I didn't. Sorry.
We'll watch it after. I can't mute it and without muting everything, so I'll watch it after.
Let's check it out. I'm doing check it out for sure afterwards. Let's see what I got here.
It's pretty funny.
Oh yeah, no, Subban's a good. I'm not surprised. He's a really funny guy.
But it's not Subban really that is on camera. He's going around. What does he do? He basically says, "Hey guys, say hi to the camera." Like after they have their gold medals around their neck, and he goes, "Hey Sid, say hi to the camera." And Sid goes, "Sup." And then he goes around.
Insightful. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, but then he goes to Price and Luongo. I almost called him Longo, like Cherry calls him. Both of them go, "What?" It's pretty funny. It's hilarious.
No, they're good guys. It's good guys. Excellent. All right.
You get to see a side of those guys that you're not used to seeing, so that's why it's pretty funny.
No, they're awesome. How about this, Mike? A little something for you here, right?
Okay.
Back in New York City. Yeah.
Back in New York City.
The
Lamb Lies Down on Broadway, guys.
Side 2, track 1 of The Lamb Lies Down on Broadway. It's one of the best double albums of all time.
Absolutely. And that's where I am today, back in New York City. So let's get this thing going.
Okay. It is
June 11th.
I can start it, Ak, if you want me to do that.
I got it. It's June 11th, right?
Yep.
Here we go. It is Wednesday. Okay.
Yes.
Smiles. It's really weird because I have a mirror right in front of me, too, so I see myself and myself.
Do you have any lettuce in my teeth?
I have something in my teeth?
No.
Okay, here goes. Ready? Hello, Hockey World. It is Wednesday, June 11th, 2014.
I'm Michael Agello.
Oh, I'm Josh Rimmer.
And I'm Eklund, and you're watching the HockeyBuzzCast on HockeyBuzz.com. And I've got this for you all because here I am. I just wanted to show you. This is so slow. Apologize, but this is my song. So, for those of you who are old Genesis fans like Mike and I are, I think Genesis is before your time, Josh, but
no, I know what Genesis is.
Back in New York City from the Lamb Lies Down on Broadway, because that is where I am right now. Back in New York City, happy to be back. Just had a brief couple words with my family, just long enough to get in a fight and leave. So
you were talking about the video game Genesis, right, Doc?
What was that?
No, we're not talking Sega Genesis.
No, not the Sega Genesis. No, good old-fashioned Peter Gabriel.
1974 Genesis.
1974 Genesis. The last album Peter did before going off on his solo career. I met Peter once, so yeah, he's a good guy. And so yeah, this is exciting. Back in New York City, the place is very different today. There's definitely a feel of apprehension, the Cup's in the building kind of thing. And I just don't know. I don't know what to think about this one. I've had a feeling on this series all along that the Rangers were going to make a series of this at some point. Now they're going to need a break or two to get through. But if they can get through tonight, I still think anything's possible. But they got to get through tonight. If ever was going to happen in a playoff year, this is the year. We've already seen a team come back from 3-0. We've seen the Rangers come back from 3-1. And coming back from 3-1 against the Penguins is not that much different than coming back from 3-0 against the Kings. I mean, the Penguins are one of the best teams in the East, so there's always chances here. There's always a possibility. Tonight, though, we're gonna have to see a Rangers team that goes for it a little bit more. They have to play with a little bit more desperation than they did the other night. They're not going to be able to hope to win this game 1-0 or 2-0, which is how the Rangers generally hope to do what they usually hope to do. That's my take, Mike. Where are you?
Well, I'm single. Gwyneth Paltrow's getting divorced, so there's a chance that she's going to go out with me. No, I mean, honestly, I think there's a chance that the Rangers can win a game. Force it to LA for Game 5. But I think the Rangers' breaks that they needed, they already got, especially in game 1 and Game 2, getting up by 2 goals numerous times and not being able to hold on to the lead. Right. As we said yesterday, I mean, they only allowed 15 shots to the Kings in Game 3, but the Kings scored strategically at points in the game where it hurt the Rangers and quashed their momentum the most. And it's going to be tough to come back from that. They can come out tonight with a very fast and loose approach where, okay, we have nothing to lose. If we lose this, everybody thinks we're going to lose anyway. Why not just go out and put everything out there and see what happens? And that looseness may contribute to them being able to win a game. But I think eventually, the reality is going to set in. And if the Kings play the type of game that they played on Monday, or showed the comeback ability that they showed in Games 1 and 2, then you will be standing on the ice watching the cup being carried around, and and we'll debate who the Conn Smythe Trophy winner is later on.
We'll talk about that a little bit today, probably. And I won't just be standing on the ice, guys. I'm going to do something that's never been done before tonight. I am going to bring Google Glasses to the ice for the Stanley Cup celebration, and I'm going to attempt to do. I don't know if this is going to work or not, but we'll find out. I'm going to attempt to do a Google Hangout from the ice with Mike and Josh and Julie and anybody else who's around later, maybe Bill, so that you guys can get a feel for it. Because one of the coolest things, the absolute coolest thing, I'm sorry, I got to change cameras. I'm such an idiot. Sorry, Mike. We're all watching Mike there for a long time. Hope everybody's enjoying that. These are my Google Glasses I'm bringing tonight to the game. One of the coolest things about my job every year is that this will be the 9th year in a row I've been on the ice with the Stanley Cup. The other cool thing I do is I collect corks from the winning champagne corks from the winning locker rooms, and I have like 20 of them from each of the 9 Stanley Cups, which is harder now because they don't let the media back into the locker room anymore because I do all the celebration on the ice, so I've usually got to find a security guard or somebody to go back there and grab me one. But there's always a quest that goes on tonight at some point later in the evening when everybody's sort of left. But so I thought bringing the Google Glasses tonight and being, I guess, the first with Google Glass on the ice, and then being the first to do like an actual live hangout from the Stanley Cup celebration could be kind of cool. So what I don't know is, of course, it's up to the internet connectivity there, how clear it's going to be, whether or not the NHL flags me for doing it. Now that I've told them I'm going to do it, it's possible. But I don't think so. I mean, because a lot of people are out there with their camera phones, and so that's going to be my excuse because everybody's out there pointing their camera phones, and this is no different. Except you guys will be able to join with it and watch it and get a feel for what it's like to go on the ice with the Stanley Cup. It's really a neat event. So hopefully that works out. So check out after the game tonight. Make sure you're checking back to HockeyBuzz, checking back to maybe the YouTube feed and see what's going on. Because we'll be doing it, or if I'm not doing it, the only reason I'm not doing it is because either I got flagged or the connectivity is just sucky and it's not able to work. But if that's the case, I'll still be doing some video from the ice and like that. So that is if, of course, it all ends tonight. If it doesn't end tonight, I'll be doing the same thing whenever it does end in the series because I'll be going back to LA on Friday. One thing my kids last night were like saying, they're suddenly Kings fans and they've been pulling for the Rangers, but they suddenly want, they got this idea that we could go to an amusement park on Saturday if there's no Stanley Cup Final. So everybody's kind of like fired up all of a sudden. We'll find out what happens. Josh, your thoughts on this?
Thoughts on
not the amusement park plans or anything like that, but more your thoughts on the Stanley Cup Final, Game 4.
Well, I mean, I think it's pretty obvious that the Kings are probably going to win this game. I don't know. I just don't see the Rangers coming back from a 3-0 deficit. They wouldn't be able to do the same thing that the Kings did against the San Jose Sharks. I just think Jonathan Quick right now is in his zone, guys. I expect Quick to have another big game tonight. I don't know if they'll have a shutout, but I think the Rangers will probably score a goal. But I think it's going to be a tight game, and I think he's going to be, once again, the difference maker. And you know what? I think you might have to hand that Conn Smythe trophy over to Jonathan Quick.
Yeah,
he's a big reason why they are where they are.
Is he your pick, Josh?
Absolutely, 100%. And he won a couple years ago, didn't he? Too.
He did. He did. A lot of people aren't saying that. You know, a lot of people are not on the Jonathan Quick bandwagon. They're much more along the lines of you've heard Justin Williams. I mean, when you look at you can point to some key moments where Jonathan Quick made plays that has kept the Kings in the playoffs to this point.
Sure.
The interesting thing about this is, I heard this mentioned today too, and this is very true. You remember Jonathan Quick was hurt a lot this year during the regular season.
Last year he was hurt most of the season.
Yeah, and this year he missed a lot too, and he's going to there
was back surgery after they won the Cup a couple years ago and hadn't been the same for a while, guys.
Oh, that's correct. And this year, Jones played really well for them when he came in, and unfortunately he's not going to be. What's up?
And Scrivens. I mean, Scrivens
right? The combination of the two of them for a while there won games that arguably got them into the playoffs.
Right.
And the crazy thing is also that the Jennings Award, I guess, for goalies goes to Quick because they had the lowest goals against average in the league. And Jones missed and Scrivens don't get any recognition because they didn't play enough games because they sort of split the extra time, which is lame because they really had better goals against average than Quick had if you combine both of them during the year.
Mm-hmm. Can I point something out, guys, about Jonathan Quick? This is the reason why I think he's Conn Smythe Trophy winner worthy. Okay. I mean, not only from the couple of games that he's played against the Rangers here, the shutout last game, and playing well the previous game, but you look back at that San Jose Sharks series, in Game 5, he allows 0 goals. He has a shutout. In Game 6, he allows 1 goal. In Game 7, he allows 1 goal. And that's a big reason why they had the turnaround there against the San Jose Sharks. And then you look at round number 2 against the Ducks, and he had a shutout. Did he have a shutout there? No, well, Anaheim, scored 2 goals the first game, and the Kings won in overtime. Game 2, the Ducks scored 1 goal in Game 2. Game 3, obviously the Ducks won that game. But I mean, the crucial times, he's played really well. And again, without Jonathan Quick, they wouldn't have had that comeback against the San Jose Sharks. I mean, he was on fire. Yeah, off and on, he's had a little bit of struggled a little bit, allowing quite a few goals, a lot more goals this year than he did last year, or not last year, but a couple years ago when he had the Conn Smythe Trophy when he won that. But you know what? I honestly believe if Quick was not in net, they would not be where they are right now.
Well, Josh, if Quick hadn't allowed, I think, 13 goals in the first 2 games against San Jose, then he wouldn't have had to make the comeback that he did against San Jose. So you can look at it that way. I mean, I don't get me wrong. Quick's one of the best goaltenders in the league. He's going to be in the mix for the Conn Smythe. I think the fact that he won the Conn Smythe 2 years ago is going to probably negate him winning it again. I think you've got, I'd say, 4 candidates. Doughty, Kopitar, Carter, and Justin Williams, who I think have a better chance of winning it than Quick does. The only way I think Quick wins the Conn Smythe is if he stands on his head tonight and makes a 57 save shutout.
I think, it's so hard to tell. I mean, this is one of those things. Like, I guess we still have a game to play, obviously. So tonight, right. If Justin Williams goes out and gets 2 goals tonight in the game winner, right. I think Justin Williams will get this award. I think that's who the writers want to give it to. In my opinion, I think Justin Williams is the guy because, like you said, Quick already won it. Justin Williams is not going to win, many awards in his career, and yet this is something that he obviously has been amazing at, right? So he was Mr. Game 7. He's been Mr. Playoffs. I mean, he came into these playoffs. We didn't know whether or not he was going to even, if the Kings went out quickly, I'm not sure Justin Williams is even coming back next year. So he's really turned things around in a big way. Personally, it's hard. Just the ebb and flow of the whole thing. It's kind of hard not to look at Quick and Doughty to me. And then there's also Gabrick supporters out there who are like, Gabrick has done. Look what he's done. I mean, he's broken or is going to break Wayne Gretzky's record for goals in the playoffs or points in the playoffs by LA King. I mean, that's Wayne Gretzky. That's something.
Yeah, he's got 13 goals. Carter's got 24 points. Kopitar has 21 assists.
Right.
So Justin Williams is second on the team with 24 points.
The goals he's going to break. Sorry, not the points.
Right.
Gretzky goals. Yeah, I mean, and Gabrick, and then there's a story of Gabrick. He was sort of a cast-off. It's a good story. He's playing in New York again, where he, should have maybe where, a lot of people say that New York never should have let him go. I think, then New York let him go because of Rick Nash. There's a whole bunch of things there. So there's still a little of the script to write, obviously. So, and tonight I think tonight though, with the series being a 3-0, and being up there in writers' row, and hearing people talk about this thing, I get a feeling that the voting will be more. That people are going to be looking for Doughty, Williams, and Quick to see what they do tonight, and to see if there's any dominant play. Like if Quick gets another shutout tonight,
right? Then
you got 2 shutouts in a row in New York City. That's worthy, Right. But I think Doughty has had. I mean, Doughty has set a record for playoff points by a defenseman in a long time too. So there's a lot of players on this Kings team that are in this. I mean.
But you have to factor into the fact with Quick, and like I said, I rate Jonathan Quick one of the best goalies in the league. He gave up 4 goals in the first 2 games at home.
Yeah.
And only by the grace of God and the New York Rangers giving up 2-goal lead did he win those games. So that has to be factored in. I mean, along with the whole San Jose, the beginning of the San Jose series. So I mean, Quick has been phenomenal at times. He hasn't been consistently phenomenal. Drew Doughty stepped up. Like the reason that they won Game 7 in San Jose was because of Drew Doughty.
You're absolutely right.
One of the reasons that they won the Chicago series was because of Drew Doughty. So I mean, I think that and Drew Doughty has never won a Norris Trophy. I don't think he's even been nominated for a Norris Trophy.
Yeah, and that's a big talk around here lately too. Yeah, he hasn't been nominated for a Norris Trophy, and he should have been by now. And he's what Doughty. There's another interesting award I'd like to talk to you guys about, because now that we're sort of at the end of the season, I want to have this be the official HockeyBuzzCast award. Ready? Everybody, and we're not going to go to the ESPOs or that route, but we're going to go to. I do like the Hockey Buzz Award for Player of the Year. That would include everything, include the regular season, the playoffs, and this year the Olympics. Okay, so Hockey Player of the Year. When you look at the Hockey Player of the Year, it's Drew Doughty, in my mind. Look at his Olympic performance, was outstanding again, right? His playoff performance has been incredible. He had a great year. So, who is your Player of the Year, Josh?
My Player of the Year,
taking everything into account.
Regular season too.
Yeah, I mean, you got Lundqvist as another one. You can look at that too because he won the. He got to the silver medal.
You know what? I think I got to give it to the young kid in Detroit, Nyquist. Yeah, Detroit didn't go far into the playoffs, but I mean, he was almost a point per game, was he not?
He was, but I'm thinking in terms of the entire year. So take the whole regular season, take the Olympics, take who was the Hockey Player of the Year? He was combining his regular season in the NHL, his Olympic performance, and his playoffs.
Well, if you're including Olympic performance, I guess you got to say Doughty.
Yeah,
Doughty.
Doughty, Jeff Carter. I mean, Jeff Carter had a big Olympics.
He had a big Olympics, pretty good regular season. Not a great regular season, but a pretty good regular season.
Yeah.
Had Carey Price not gotten hurt, it could have been Carey Price.
Yeah, Carey Price was on the route for that, very much so.
Jonathan Taves. I mean, Jonathan Taves had a very good Olympic.
He's a good one. Yeah, Taves a good one. Patrick Kane's another one. He had a really, Patrick Kane had a great Olympics, a great regular season, a great playoffs.
Yeah. If you stopped at March the 1st, you could have said Phil Kessel.
Yeah, for sure. No, I mean I think that's an interesting award because this is a year that we had him. I'm going to write a blog about this tomorrow actually, so don't steal it. No one out there steal this idea because I like this idea. Mike?
No, I was just writing down. Don't steal it.
Don't steal this idea. All right, so I need to shave. Apologize, I look like hell, but it's because I've been on too many trains. All right, so Josh. Josh.
Sorry, Steve Levy just tweeted a picture of the Madison Square Garden scoreboard. I guess they're getting everything ready for tonight. You know how like they do the dry runs and everything like that. They have the starting lineup up, and he says Rangers have reacquired Michael Del Zotto just in time for tonight's game because his name's up there for the starters.
There you go.
I was thinking he was gonna say that they were practicing putting up "Congratulations, Los Angeles Kings" on winning the Stanley Cup. But that would have been.
It's they have by far the most high tech scoreboard at Madison Square Garden though. They really do. It's as far as what I've seen, they actually do have block shots. They have face-off percentages won by each team on the scoreboard. Mm-hmm. They've got and they put the players up that are on the ice for both teams up there on the scoreboard, which you don't see on regular scoreboards. So
that's what $1 billion gets you.
That's $1 billion gets you. But in the first period last game, it wasn't working. It was pretty funny. So none of us had any idea how many. Did they mention that on TV? None of us had any idea how many shots.
He said that there was a complete mainframe wipeout in the first period of game 3.
Yep, and it was at NHL.com too, and so everything was, you couldn't get an accurate. I still don't believe the shots were correct in the first period at all the other night. I would love to watch that period again because they said the shots were like 6-3 or 4-3 and
5-4. Yeah,
I don't buy that. I really don't, not at all. I mean, watching that period. I still don't think that was right. But
I think every analytics geek in North America was having a stroke at the. That they couldn't get their Corsi and Fenwick stats.
Yeah, right. No Corsis.
Oh boy.
All right, Josh. So let's jump to rumors a little bit because we have to do that. I guess it is the law. And I do want to we're just so we are going to be really jumping into rumors a bit soon. As soon as the playoffs are over, Mike's happy about that. We are a rumor website, and we love that. We love our rumors around here. So, Josh, what do you have today in news and notes and rumors of interest for us? And we'll start there, and then I'll give you some of my stuff.
Well, no really notes, but what I am hearing is there might be someone, one of the good players, one of the top guys on Edmonton could be moved in this summer, possibly even at the draft. The Oilers are trying to make some kind of a shake-up. I mean, we've heard Gagne's name out there, but I've heard maybe one of the top 3 guys could be moved. Probably not Taylor Hall's not going anywhere. We know Hall. They're not going to trade Hall. But could Eberle or Nugent Hopkins be on the move? The Oilers apparently are talking to teams, and teams are interested, obviously, in those 3 guys. The Oilers all along have been saying that Nail Yakupov is available, but not many people want to take him on. But from what I'm hearing, maybe one of the big 3 in Edmonton could be on the move.
Well, if it's one of those 3, and I'm just taking an educated guess here, I would think it would be Nugent Hopkins because with the 3rd pick, Edmonton can get one of the 3 top centers in this draft, either Sam Reinhart, Sam Bennett, or Leon Draisaitl. I have a tough time saying his name. They apparently like Draisaitl a lot. Big kid from the Western Hockey League, Prince Albert Raiders. Good size, maybe a little rougher on the edges, but they think he's ready to jump into the NHL, maybe even as soon as next year. Nugent Hopkins has had some, durability problems. He's not exactly the biggest kid out there, and he's making, I think he's making close to $6 million. So it wouldn't be surprising if he was the one of that core 3 that they would move.
I do agree with the Eberle. I mean, Taylor Hall is obvious. We've said before, right? Taylor Hall's not going anywhere.
He's not going anywhere.
He's their best.
He's
player.
the face of the franchise.
He's the face of their franchise.
Yeah.
Speaking of face of the franchise, did you hear that Spezza was taking off all of the marketing stuff in Ottawa? That's
really.
He's as good as gone. It's just a question of where. He's got 1 year left in his contract, Dak, and there has been not nary a peep out of Ottawa that about him signing an extension. So
yeah, but they're not. I agree they want to get rid of him, but at the same time, they are not going to give him up unless they get something that they like. I mean, they'll keep him. They'll keep him. They'll let him run out the year if they don't get the right contract or the right trade.
I think it's similar to Phaneuf. I think they get something good for him. I mean, he's had some injury problems, but he's 30 years old. I think he's a top center in this league. I don't know if he's a top echelon, top line center, but he's a top line center. So
he's only 31. Yeah, you're right. I mean, he's 31. We did this because I was talking to the Rangers people about this the other night, in the press box about that I was hearing Spezza was possibility to the Rangers. And they all thought he was too old, and they thought this was, we talked about it a little bit yesterday, this is sort of the Rangers' tendency to get older guys past their prime, but I don't think Spezza is necessarily that. I don't think of him being like the Rangers guys they picked up in the past, Josh. I mean, I think Spezza still's got something in the tank here.
Yeah, I think there's going to be teams obviously interested in him. San Jose Sharks, I really believe, are going to be interested in bringing Spezza to San Jose. Probably Anaheim interested, like we talked about the other day. They have some cap room after clearing a little bit of room at the deadline in hopes of getting Thomas Vanek at the deadline. That didn't happen. So they'd like to take on a guy that's got some salary and that can help the team. But another thing I'm hearing, Eck, too, is PK Subban has yet to have any contract talks with Montreal. This could be a bad one. I mean, not a bad one, but I mean, this could go on for a long time.
Will. I mean, I really don't think
will Montreal end up moving him in the end? I think that's a good question. Obviously, from what I'm told, he wasn't happy with the coach. I don't think a lot of guys were this year.
I wasn't aware of that, but yeah, that might be the
case. Okay. Do I note some sarcasm in there, Eck?
Us Americans, we're never sarcastic.
Just a hint. One thing on
Spezza. Are you kidding? Mike, go ahead.
One thing on Spezza, and I'm not saying that this is going to happen but whenever one of those core Ottawa players from the last decade is up in a possible deal, you always have to consider the Boston Bruins with Peter Chiarelli, because Peter Chiarelli was part of that group. If Boston was in on Alfredsson, Boston was possibly going to trade for Chris Phillips if Ottawa was trading him and they needed to replace Seidenberg. If Spezza's out there, I wouldn't be surprised if Peter Chiarelli kicks some tires with Brian Murray and says, "Okay, what do you want for him?" And then maybe there's a possible deal there. But I don't think it's likely. I don't think they want to face him 5-6 times a year. I think they'd rather send him out to the Western Conference.
Yeah,
but it's a possibility.
I don't think they have a whole lot of respect for him, to be honest. That's been my issue with Spezza in Ottawa from the very beginning. I like Spezza. I like Jason Spezza a lot. He's a good guy. He's a really good guy. And I think that at times, he can be one of the top forwards in the league. Like when he's at his best, Jason Spezza's a player. He's one of those guys that always surprises me. He isn't more talked about, in terms of Team Canada. But Team Canada has their guys that they go to, and Spezza sort of always gets no respect in that at all. But when Spezza's playing at his best, a couple times this year early on, if you remember, he was at his best, and he really has some spectacular, parts to his game.
Yeah.
And I think he's got value, and I don't think Ottawa thinks of him that way though, and it's always been hard in Ottawa for him. It's been even going back to when they were successful, when they were in the Stanley Cup Finals. Ottawa is such a strange city. It really is. It's a small town. Josh, we're talking a little about Ottawa and how strange it is. Ottawa is a small town, in a way. A lot of government workers, and only a few bars. And the players in Ottawa are very exposed to the fans of Ottawa, and it's hard for them to get outside of it. And you remember there were all the rumors, the Ray Emery, and Jason Spezza way back in the day, when they were good, but. I think Spezza needs to get the hell out of there. That's my opinion. I think it's just a place that's not suited for him, Josh.
Yeah, I think he does need a change of scenery. Obviously, Spezza, if he is moved, who would remain on the team from that Stanley Cup Finals against the the Ducks. Is that Chris Phillips? Yeah. Phillips would be the only guy left from that Stanley Cup run that they had against the Anaheim Ducks a couple of years ago. But yeah, I think maybe it is time for a scene change for Jason. Maybe it's time for him to go to a market where maybe there isn't as much media attention, maybe like California. I mean the media attention's coming up a little bit, but still, at least there you're competing with NCAA, NFL, NBA. So maybe it's time he needs to go somewhere where hockey isn't the number one sport. I totally agree.
LA would fit that for sure.
And that would sort of eliminate Toronto, where he's been connected for a number of years because he's from the Toronto area. I mean,
I don't see the Senators making a trade with Toronto.
No, I don't see it either. I do see, and here, what you were saying, if they don't find a deal that they really like a lot, that they'll just hold on to him. I don't know if they can really hold on to him, but I think a compromise position might be the Buffalo Sabres, because
you're speaking now. That would go against.
Well, no, but the thing is, he's a commodity with 1 year left in that they're going to have problems getting to the cap floor.
Right.
He's making, I think, close to $7 million or a little over $7 million.
Yep.
They make a trade for him and then flip him at the deadline. They get basically, they could recoup their assets and get a lot more. And I'm not sure how much difference Jason Spezza is gonna make between them making or missing the playoffs.
He's not going to make you miss or make the playoffs, but he's going to keep. I think he keeps them out of the bottom spot, which is what they.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, I think that's a possible viable, because there's been connections between Tim Murray and Brian Murray. Obviously, there's guys like Chris Stewart that the Ottawa Senators have been rumored to be interested in. The Sabres might have to give up enough where it offsets the improvement they would get by bringing in Spezza, and it solves their cap problems, and then also solves the problem at the deadline, and when they flip them out somewhere. If they're close to having the bottom pick, then they would just plummet after that. But I think it's a viable possibility.
Guys, I think the reason why Jason Spezza is expendable right now is because they're ready to move Zibanejad up to the second line. He looked good at times last year. I think he's ready for a bigger role in Ottawa, and obviously Kyle Turris is your number one center. They're pretty good down the middle, and that's what makes Jason Spezza expendable right now. They need to find some wingers.
Well, I think the way you're looking at Ottawa too is you're looking at Spezza on the last year of his contract, right, and you're looking at Bobby Ryan on the last year of his contract too. Both of which are rumored to have places they want to sign as UFAs. So, I don't know that they can keep Bobby either. They're not going to trade him, but he's a possibility. He could always be moved out.
You don't think they'll trade him, Mac? I mean, I think if they know for a fact that he's going to move, if they can get somebody who they can hold on to, I mean.
Well, yeah, but if they know for a fact is a big thing though. They're going to really. Bobby Ryan's in a great spot. Put it that way. As far as if he wants to get a contract, from Ottawa, he's going to get a nice contract because he is really their star power if Jason Spezza leaves. And that they have to. They're going to have to go to the bank for him. And, and as much as you hear he wants to come to places, he may love it in Ottawa. And from what I've heard, he actually does love it in Ottawa. I know Bobby a little bit, so he does love it in Ottawa, and that's a place for him perhaps to stay. Where Jason, I don't think, obviously just has done his time in Ottawa, I think, and is ready to move on. I don't think he hates Ottawa, but I think he's ready to move on. Enough of that, enough of the scene there for him.
Yeah, I mean. I agree with your assessment, but the thing that's tenuous for Brian Murray and the Senators is the fact that if you don't have him locked up, and you can start talking with him about contract. I mean, they could have started already, but they can actually do it after July the 1st with less than 1 year remaining.
Yep.
If they get an indication from his agent that, let's just play out the season. If they get that kind of indication, then they'll move him, because they can't risk going to the deadline and being held up by a guy who's a potential UFA, in that situation, they can't allow that. I mean, if they see a deal out there, and we've mentioned Philadelphia as a possibility, we've mentioned the New Jersey Devils. He's from New Jersey.
Devils land though. Definitely not. I mean, I'm from the same hometown as Bobby Ryan, and we sure as hell we're not Devils fans. That's like actually a hated team around here.
Right. Are you talking about Bobby Ryan possibly being on the move as well since he's UFA? I'm sorry, guys. I had to take a call there.
But he's 1 year away from UFA. But I'm saying if he doesn't agree to sign to a deal with Ottawa, they may try to move him now because they won't be held up by him later on. And if
he had a bad year, though, guys. Like, I mean, if they were to trade him, they're not going to get thing.
They really didn't. He actually was. I mean, he was hurt from like January on and playing hurt. But when you look at the beginning of the year he had before he got hurt, and also the fact that he just got screwed by the coach there, and he really did. He's another minutes guy. Because I did a report one time that look at his minutes played versus where he's the only player in the NHL that's a top 30 scorer. There's only two of them, him and Wayne Simmons, that played under 15 minutes a game. Yeah. So and really Bobby was hurt. I mean, he got surgery at the end of the year, but he was hurt from like January on. So he was playing.
You don't think that Olympic snub hurt him a little bit though, too, Ak?
I actually don't think so, because I honestly don't think he could have gone to the Olympics even if he. I think in his mind he couldn't have gone because he was hurt when the Olympics came around. He was not able. He wouldn't have been going if he had made it. I don't think it wasn't something he liked. I mean, I talked to him about it. He wasn't thrilled about it, but.
So it was obviously the way it was handled was he was upset with. With Brian Burke questioning his.
Well, I never talked to him about. Yeah, I mean, I never actually asked him flat out that kind of question I think that's pretty obvious. I mean, it was one of those things like, okay, that's for sure. I think that was not a good situation, and
no.
Team USA needed scoring, and they went one. And he was one of the scorers that they kind of left behind, and they didn't play much in the last Olympics, so it wasn't totally surprising, but. He's just one of those guys that doesn't fit into what they're trying to do, I guess. So, which is kind of.
Do you think the Team USA contingent watched Jack Johnson in the playoffs and said, "Damn it, we should have taken Jack"?
Yeah. You never know, right? I mean, it's like I mean, the Team USA contingent is they're an interesting group, and I think that they're going to be very different next time they come around. I honestly think it's going to be a different group of people. I don't think there were a lot of people that were happy with the way things went down on Team USA.
Yeah.
Well, I was interested in a couple of the little tidbits that you included in your morning update regarding Paul Stastny and Dave Bolland. The Stastny indicator regarding him possibly returning to Colorado. I mean, I'm sure if he doesn't sign by July 1st, there will be a bidding war, and you indicated I think it was Nashville and one other team that were possibilities. I think that this Stastny returning to Colorado feeds in to the possibility of them moving Ryan O'Reilly. I can't see them keeping Stastny and then signing O'Reilly to at least the qualifying offer of $6.5 million. He would probably have to be moved. And I think that the list of teams lining up for Ryan O'Reilly would be very long.
Oh yeah, no question about it. Ryan O'Reilly's he's a star player, and he actually, I think is better than Stastny, and I still believe at the end of the day that they get O'Reilly signed and they let Stastny walk. But what I've been told, at this point, and it kind of goes back and forth, like on the rumor chart, if you look, I'm just looking at, I have Stastny at 35% to Colorado and 30% to Nashville. With Dallas, Anaheim, and New Jersey also. And they're just teams I've heard a little bit. And again, how the rumor chart works, guys, is that the rumor chart is not rumors as much as it's my own speculation based on what I've been told. So, this is just where I think they're going to go. And it's at this point, that's why it changes every day. But at this point, that's where I see it. Yesterday, someone was telling me about Nashville being probably more likely, and then that person said, well, maybe not. And so it's kind of going back and forth. Yesterday was 35%. Nashville today is 35% Colorado. So it's really, to me, they're in a dog race for that. Yeah. And it'll be close.
As for Bolland, I mean everything that I've heard and everything that I've been told, Bolland has indicated in the media, clearly that he would like to stay in Toronto, but the crux of the situation is that Toronto will not pay him more than what Tyler Bozak is making right now. And Bozak was signed at $4.2 million. Boland and his representatives have not come off of at least they've not shut down the talk of them wanting $5 million and wanting a contract of 7 or 8 years. If they stick to that, or if that's the perception out there, Toronto will say goodbye and enjoy yourself in Florida or wherever you're going to go, because
I mean, you can't give Boland a long-term deal. I mean, it's
I like Dave. I like Dave Boland. I like what he brings to a team. He's a feisty competitor. Yeah. I would as I know a lot of Leaf fans who would love to see him come back, but it would have to be a shorter-term deal, and it would have to be a cost-effective deal, because his health concerns after having the lacerated ankle tendon. I mean, he clearly came back too early last year. He wasn't himself. You don't know if he's ever going to be himself. So I would think that he would be amenable to taking a shorter-term deal, but his agent and him are not going to come off of that. They're going to try to get as long and as expensive a deal as they possibly can.
They're going to try to, but I don't know how much luck they're going to get on that, because at this point, until we see Dave Boland play a month of solid hockey,
right?
He's going to be, his best option will be to do a 1-year deal, and prove people wrong. That's hard. That's if he really does believe he's okay. If he believes he's okay, then he'll do that. If not, then he's going to really force his way to try to get a long-term deal, and that's why teams aren't stupid. They realize this. And Boland's best shot is probably to come back to Toronto, where he is a good fit. He gets good ice time. He's a good, he is in a good position to succeed. He gets a lot of national exposure.
Yeah.
And if Toronto does better this year than they did last year, people can point to Dave Boland being a difference maker. That's Boland's best option.
And if they could sign Boland in a short-term deal, that loosens the ties up on Dave Nonis to possibly move Nazem Kadri in a deal, which is a possibility. He's talked about that. They would have to get a player of equal value, of comparable age, to trade a Kadri or a Jake Gardner, but it's not out of the realm of possibility. If they have Boland and Bozak and probably the kid that they got from Anaheim last year, Peter Holland, who played very well in the Calder Cup playoffs for the Marlies, they could afford to move Kadri if they could find a defenseman that could help their blue line, somebody who was relatively young. But if Boland walks, then I think the likelihood is Kadri stays.
Yeah, I think you're right on about that. Josh?
One guy I'm interested to see where he goes if he stays in Boston is Jerome McGinley, who's an unrestricted free agent. He obviously is up there in age, 37, but I still think he could be a 60 to maybe 65 point scorer. Plus, he's got a lot of heart, and he's tough as nails. He shouldn't be fighting as much as he has in the past, I think, because you don't want him to get hurt. But I think it'll be interesting to see where Jerome goes. I mean, could he be going to California? Could he be a guy going to San Jose?
Not San Jose, but I have heard California.
Yeah.
And I haven't updated yet on the chart for this. It's funny you bring his name up, because it was going to be in my next update. But yeah, because right now I have him in Boston at 65%. Boston was such a great fit for him. It really was. Yeah. And they loved him there. He fit in perfectly. He had a great year. They really made their team tick. And it just had a bad ending, right? The Flyers have always had interest in Ginla, and they'll be involved in this as well. And I also think the Islanders and the Red Wings are another teams who took out too, but that's more or less fringe right now. What I did hear, though, right when I got here today, was somebody talking about the Kings having interest in Ginla. And the GM meetings are going on here, as you know. And they're just like 3 floors below me, actually. So that's and the Kings have Lombardi has had interest in Ginla before, and so if they win, Ginla wants to go win a cup. The Kings are a team to look at. And the Kings, even though they've been a really good scoring team in the playoffs, it wasn't that long ago that they couldn't score goals this year, and Ginla's the kind of guy. I mean, he is the personality of the LA Kings, and you put him on the LA Kings, he would fit absolutely perfectly. Well, the Western Canadian solid personality that he's got, and he just doesn't get flustered, and I mean he really feels like an LA King to me.
There's the Daryl Sutter, Robin Regehr connection. Plus, if Gaborik decides to test the market, then they have an opening on the wing.
Yeah.
And a significant enough cap room to be able to pay Iginla what comparable to what he was paid in Boston.
Yeah.
So that does make a lot of sense. And how many years does Jerome Iginla have left in his career? He has not won a Stanley Cup. So.
Yeah. And he's just at that one-year deal point right now. He's going to make one-year deals. So
right,
that's a good fit for them. And if I was the Kings looking at Gaborik or Iginla for next year, I would be giving the money to Iginla. I mean, just because Gaborik went several years first off, and you're not going to want to go there. And Iginla, I mean, for a 1-year shot, you're not going to go wrong there.
Well, Gaborik's going to want a multi-year contract. I mean, that's clear. I mean, I believe he's 32 years old. He's going to want a 3, 4, 5-year deal, probably making $6.5 million. I mean, he's making $7.5 million now. I mean, with the lack of scorers in this free agent pool, I mean, it would make sense for him to press for that kind of deal. And I don't think Dean Lombardi wants to lock up that kind of money on Gaborik when he's a couple years is going to have to lock up guys like Kopitar. Kopitar's got 2 more seasons left at $6.8 million. He's going to want to probably lock him up for the max 8 years and probably $7 to $8 million. So he doesn't want to have to spend significant money on Gaborik, who they've been lucky he hasn't broken down, but his career shows he breaks down all the time.
Yeah, he's been healthy the last couple of years, but I mean he does have that. Josh.
One more guy I want to throw out there is, and he's also up there in age, but he's unrestricted, is Andrei Markov. I talked about PK Subban a couple minutes ago. If they re-sign PK, does that mean Markov's gone?
No, but I was told no. But that being said, Markov wants, I think, way more than they want to go to, and I think PK is going to be harder to sign than Markov, but I think that they're going to try to sign PK first. So, this is what's going to be interesting about how this plays out here. Detroit has a lot of interest in Markov, and that Detroit really wants a defenseman in the worst possible way. Markov fits to a T what they let. I mean, obviously there's connections there, right? So.
But Datsuk, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I really, you have to look at Detroit in the defense. Like people talk about Detroit and Niskanen, people talk about Detroit and Markov. They're going to. Right, Dan Boyle. They're trying to get a top defender, and so Markov might play that a little bit. Both Markov and Subban like being Montreal Canadiens, so it's kind of hard to say that they won't remain Canadians, even if they don't get along with the wonderful coaching at times. They do still they still want to be Canadians. So Subban's going to be tough.
But Subban may eat into Markov's money. I mean, if Subban is requesting and is gets 8.5, or 8.
But who are the stars? I mean, who's Montreal really paying? I mean, they're not really. They don't. I mean, they're not. I mean, I should bring up their cap numbers, but they really aren't.
Yeah, they're paying. Well, they're paying Plekanec $5 million, Pacioretty $4.5 million. Right. I mean,
they're big numbers. They're not big numbers.
Yeah, but they only have 3 players under contract on their blue line: Georges, Emelin, and Jared Tenorti. They have 4 unrestricted free agents, and Subban's restricted. So, there's going to be and they do have some young kids coming up, like Bulio, who played in the playoffs. Jared Tenorti played pretty well for Hamilton in the AHL last year, so there's going to be some sort of changeover, and they might bring back a veteran like Mike Weaver because he played well. But they're going to have to. I mean, between Markov and Subban, it could cost them $13 million in cap room to sign both of them.
Yeah, and Markov's a risk because of the injuries we've talked about.
That seems to be the theme of this UFA class, guys.
There's not. I mean, it's very true. There's a lot of. I mean, injuries or failed expectations, right? Like a combination of that too. Like you got your Marlows and Sam Gagne and players who have sort of fallen behind expectations.
I got one little juicy thing from Harvey Filkoff of the Florida Sun Sentinel. He wrote yesterday. with the talk that Dan Bylsma possibly will be the Panthers coach. I mean, if there's interest there and he does sign, a guy like Niskanen, who played for Bylsma in Pittsburgh, a guy like Brooks Orpik, who's a UFA, they may be Florida bound because they know Bylsma from Pittsburgh and probably, and did succeed there. So there's a link there. Also, Dale Talon indicated that he's received one fair offer for the number 1 pick. And the report is that Calgary, Edmonton, and Toronto have all submitted or all expressed interest in that and trading up to the number 1 pick. And I would put stock in at least Toronto being interested because that rumor's been out there for a while.
But yeah, and it seems like the guy right that everybody's looking at right now. The ones that I've talked to that are talking about trading, we're talking about trading up for Ekblad. So yeah, I mean that's possible. That's, like we talked about, a little bit, Talon putting this out is definitely a little bit of GM speak. This is his way of saying. And one of the things that you'll find in the next couple weeks when we start talking about rumors on here, and I start talking more about how I let these few rumors, is I am very driven. I'm driven by 2 things. One, I'm driven by agendas because agendas are always that's one of the keys to chasing down hockey rumors is what are the agendas here, and the other is who are the sources. And Josh and I, we actually discussed this the other day a little bit via text. Josh and I did, but you have to know who when someone out there reports or tweets or whatever, some major reporter out there does this, and I know who that person knows really well. You can get an indication on which ones to really follow. There's some guys out there who are gospel, and with certain teams, and if they say something about that team, then I know that's that's something you can go with. We'll get into more of that as the thing goes along, without really revealing too much. But yeah, the agenda part of it though is what's going to make this summer really interesting, I think, because we're going to have a real there's a lot of agendas out there right now, and that's big, Josh.
Another guy out there as well, I don't think we've talked about, is former Maple Leaf Mikhail Grabovski, who's also an unrestricted free agent. Is he going to re-sign in Washington? He had an okay year, I think. But the question is,
he did the Grabovski thing, right? I mean, that's the problem. He had a hat trick in the first game of the season.
Yeah.
Remember, I wrote he was going to score 240 goals, and I was taking bets.
Jeez, yeah. He tailed off significantly in the second half.
He didn't reach that 240 goal mark.
Maybe he wants to go play with his buddy Randy Carlyle again.
Oh yeah. No, he tailed off significantly in the second half of the season. He had an injury. I've heard some rumblings that him and his buddy Nikolai Kulemin might be a package deal similar to Ryan Suter and Zach Parise. When you're comparing Mikhail Grabovski and Nikolai Kulemin to Parise and Suter, something's amiss. But that being said,
an interesting one though, guys. I wanted to talk about that. Grabovski, it's so hard to talk about. We talked about him so much last year. I hate to open that can of worms, but you're absolutely right. He's one of those guys who is going to be out there and is going to get, if he falls into the thing with Grabovski is he's got to go into the right situation. Like you throw him on Chicago or something like that, he could be very successful.
Yeah. Guys, I know where Kulemin's going. He's going to Pittsburgh. He's going to play with his best buddy, Evgeny Malkin. They are lightning in a bottle when they play together over in Russia. I would say 95% he goes to Pittsburgh.
I agree.
And Malkin has has something to do with that, of him going to Pittsburgh.
That rumor's been out there for 3 years, and if they follow through on trading James Neal, who is Malkin's line mate, they're going to have to throw Malkin a crumb, because you're basically trading the guy who's been his main outlet in terms of a scorer on his line. You're going to have to throw him a crumb, which I think would be Kulemin. And based on Kulemin scoring in single digits all 3 years of the 3-year, he was making $2.8 million with the Leafs. I mean, he was paid as a 30-goal scorer, and he never came he never broke double figures.
He'll explode at Pittsburgh too if
he'll score 20 goals. Kuhlman's a good two-way forward. I like him as a player, and it's not there wasn't any kind of animosity in Toronto. He wasn't hated by Randy Carlyle. I mean, Randy Carlyle played him a lot. The problem is he's not a 30-goal scorer. He scored 30 goals playing with Grabowski and Clark MacArthur with that wide-open, ridiculous offense that Ron Wolfson played, and he's not that type of player. So, I mean, I think the Leafs would like to keep him. They're just not going to give him a raise, and I think he'll end up going to Pittsburgh. But as for Grabowski, he's a tweener. That's the problem. He's not big enough. He's not good enough defensively to be a number 2 center, and he's definitely not good enough defensively to be a number 3 center. So he's sort of a tweener. I see him going to a place like Phoenix or Nashville or someplace like that where he could get a 1 or 2 year contract and probably score goals, but I don't think a big team who's looking to add, or like a Chicago, to add a number 2 center is going to go anywhere near Mikhail Grabowski.
I mean, they're not going to, but I think they should look at it. I honestly do. I mean, I'm not a Grabowski fan in that he's very wildly inconsistent. Obviously, we've seen, and he's a head case, for sure. Which brings us to the Islanders. Honestly, that's a good fit for him too. It's just I wouldn't want him to be your guy. I think that if
Grabowski's like a poor man's Kovalev. Would you agree with that?
I would say the poor man's Alexander Semin. That's more like what I think he is.
Oh, okay.
But Kovalev, I mean, he's. I don't think
Sergei Berezin, Maxim Afinogenov. It's like, gee, what do all these guys have in common?
Borshevsky.
No, but.
You hold him in high regard because he scored the big goal in the playoffs. That's the only reason why you.
Yes, I do. A dagger into the Detroit Red Wings' heart.
What did he do besides that? Nothing.
He actually scored 30 goals one year. So he scored 30 goals playing with Andrechuk and Gilmore. So I don't. The guy was like an 8th round draft pick. I don't have any problem with Nicky Borshevsky. But no. But to your point, Grabowski is sort of like a head case, sort of a tweener type guy. He may get a 1 or 2 contract. But I don't see I don't see any NHL general manager signing him to a long-term extension for significant money. He's just not the type of player you can do that with.
I think he could end up back in Washington, but I think that that might be where he goes. But he's good. I mean, Kuhlman's is such an interesting case because I remember just a few years ago where people were they were hanging the hopes on the Leafs on him, and he's fallen off so quickly. In many people's eyes, I have heard Pittsburgh, but I haven't heard Pittsburgh as much as I've heard again Nashville, who's obviously, as you'll see when you go through the rumor chart, Nashville's looking to add offense, and they will add a couple players, but also Minnesota. What was that?
Maybe Stastny.
Yeah, like Stastny's on there too. I have Stastny with Nashville. But you have I think Kuhlman's going to be one of those guys that's going to come into play as well. All right, guys, that's about all the time we have for today. It was a good show, really fun. Thank you so much for watching us and subscribing to the YouTube channel. We're going to keep doing what we're doing. We got some big news coming up in the next week or two, so keep an eye on that. That's going to be fun. And we're not stopping with the Stanley Cup Finals because we have the draft, we have UFA Day, we've got lots to talk about. Very well done. And tonight we have Game 4 of the Stanley Cup Finals, of course. And like I said before, make sure you're watching. Check out the website right after the game if the cup is won tonight. Whenever the cup is won, I'm going to go on the ice with Google Glass and do Google Hangout from the ice. You guys get a feel of what it would be like to walk on the ice after the cup's won, which is really a fun thing to do. So check out that either tonight or Friday or next Monday or next Wednesday, whenever the cup is eventually won. We'll see from there. Guys, remember, without the buzz, it's just hockey. Talk to you soon.
It's just hockey.
Josh, you're always there, man. You're always there. It's impressive.